Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone for today's reading of Adyatma Ramayana. Today we will be starting with the 7th chapter of Ayodhya Kand from Adyatma Ramayana. Sumantra's return to Ayodhya, Dasharatha's death and cremation, the story of Shrawan Kumar, Bharata's arrival in Ayodhya. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let's begin with a glorification of Sri Lord Ramachandra. Lokabhiramam Ranarangadhiram Rajivanetram Raghuvam Shanatam Karunyarupam Karunakarantam Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadye. Jai Shri Ram. So we'll begin the reading. Chapter 7, Ayodhya Kanda from Adyatma Ramayana. Lord Shiva said to Parvati, "Here's during dusk, Sumantra hid his face with a cloth and entered Ayodhya with tearful eyes. Leaving the chariot standing outside the gates, he went inside the royal palace to meet the king. He praised him, that is Maharaj Dasrath, with the salutary words Jai, and bowed his head before him in respect. The king saw Sumantra going before him alone, and he was overcome with grief. He asked, O Sumantra, where is Sri Ram along with Sita and Lakshman? Where have you left Sri Rama? What did he have to say for the sinner? What does Sita and Lakshmana said for this cruel me? O Sri Rama, O a treasurer of virtues, O the soft-spoken Sita, don't you see that I am dying by getting drowned in a sea of grief and sorrows? This way the king lamented and wailed for a long time and submerged himself in an ocean of grief and sorrows. Seeing the king lamenting and weeping, the minister, Sumantra, folded his hands and said, O king, I had taken Sri Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana astride your chariot. They halted on the banks of river Ganges near Shringverpur. The king of the Nishada community, Guha, brought some fruits and edible roots, etc. But Sri Rama did not eat them. He touched them and left them alone. After that, Raghunandan, Sri Rama, asked Guha to bring some milk of the banyan tree, matted his hairs to form a crown over his head, and then he said to me, O Sumantra, tell the king not to grieve or feel sorry for us. We shall get greater comfort in the forest as compared to Ayodhya. Say our pranam to the mother also and ask her to stop worrying or feeling sorrowful for us. The king is old and extremely agitated, distressed, and overwhelmed by anguish and grief at our separation. So console him with proper tender care. O the best among kings. After that, Sita kept glancing at Sri Rama and said to me with tearful eyes and a voice choked with sorrow, Tell my due respects to my mother-in-laws. Saying this, she lowered her head and went away from there weeping. Then all of them boarded the boat with tears welling up in their eyes. I stood there till the time they had crossed the river to the other side. This is so touching. How much love Rama and Mother Sita have for Dasharatha Maharaj and the queens. Though they had to go through all this, they don't see this with hatred or anger or any of these things because they understand the value of the relationships here. So it's really amazing how we should treat others even during our difficult times. Then I started back from there and have reached here with great anguish, a heavy heart, and with great difficulty. Kausalya said to the king, weeping, O king, even if you had been pleased with your beloved Kaikeyi and gave her the boon of giving her son Bharata the kingdom, but say, why did you give exile to my son? And after doing all this mischief yourself, why do you cry? Hearing these sarcastic and taunting words of Kausalya, the king was tormented beyond redemption, as if live fire had touched a raw wound. Live fire has had touched a raw wound. So you can see here how different it is, the way Rama says and how Kausalya says. Yes, Kausalya as a mother, she is very hurt by what happened to Sri Rama. They are not bothered or worried about the crown or the position as the next king. Mother Kausalya was ready to give away that kingdom to Bharata, but all she wanted was her son to be with her. So that shows the affection of a mother. She is not talking as a queen or anything, or one who wants the kingdom or one who wants the position or anything. All she is asking as a mother for her son to be with her. But we also see how Sri Rama responded in the same situation. Like he told Sumantra that the king is old and extremely agitated, distressed, and overwhelmed by anguish and grief at our separation. So he understands how Dasharatha Maharaj feels. So console him with proper and tender care. So you see how beautifully Ramachandra says that to take care of his father with all the care and attention because he understands the more you taunt him, the more he is going to feel agitated and remorseful. This is the time where he needs that tender care and the proper attention and love that and the support because Dasharath Maharaj already is feeling guilty of what he has done. Now, if you taunt him sarcastically more, it is going to agitate him even more. So, knowing all this, Ramachandra tells Sumantra, this is how we have to take care of my father because this is a situation. So, how beautifully the Lord understands his father or Dasharath Maharaj. He doesn't see the situation that Dasharath Maharaj had sent me to the forest, listening to the words of Kaikeyi, who is very attached to the wealth and other things, and who wants her son to be the next king. He doesn't see, though it's a fact, it's not that Ramchandra doesn't see that, but he sees more than that. He doesn't see the gross jealousy or any of these things. Instead, he sees the higher value of the relationships. So here it's the same thing. Yeah. So here, that's how Ramachandra asked Sumantra to take care of Dashrath Maharaj. But we see here how Mother Kausalya, she was very hurt by her son leaving the palace, and she's now sarcastically taunting Dasharath Maharaj. And we see how her words have affected the king so much that it's like they have given the example. It's like live fire had touched a raw wound. The king then replied to Kausalya with tearful eyes, I am already dying due to anguish and grief. Why do you torment and pour scorn at me further? What is the benefit of doing it? There is no doubt my life is about to leave this body. In an earlier time, a sage had cursed me due to my foolishness and misdemeanors. Dasharatha narrated the old incident to Kausalya. Once, being wild due to youthful arrogance, I was wandering near the banks of river near a dense forest in the night, with a bow and arrow in hand, looking for a game to hunt. At around midnight, some hermit had dipped his pot in the water to take it to quench the thirst of his father and mother. The pot made a great gurgling sound of water filling into it. Thinking that some elephant was drinking water in the dark night, I mounted an I mounted an arrow which could home into the origin of the sound and shot it. When the arrow struck, there was the voice of a human exclaiming, "Alas, I am killed! O Creator, I had not harmed anyone in any way. Then why has someone killed me? Alas, my father and mother are waiting for me, expecting water to drink." Hearing this human voice, I was greatly perturbed and scared that I have committed a horrible sin, and went steadily to him and said, "O Lord, I am Dashrath. I have shot this arrow inadvertently. O sage, please save me." Saying this, I fell down at his feet with a choked voice. Then the hermit told me, "O the exalted king, don't be afraid. You shall not be tormented by the sin of killing a Brahmin, because I am a Vaishya by birth, who am engaged in austerities and penances. My mother and father must be waiting for me anxiously because of their thirst and hunger. Therefore, you should make haste and go give them water, because otherwise, if my father gets angry, he will reduce you to ashes." After giving him water and bowing before him, "Tell him about your misdeeds. I am under immense pain. Remove this arrow which is stuck in my body, for I wish to die soon." When the hermit had said so, I extracted the embedded arrow from his body immediately, took the pot of water, and went hastily to the place where his parents were waiting for him. At that moment, they were agitated and anxious with worries. We are very old, handicapped by our vision, and greatly distressed due to hunger and thirst. What is the reason that our son has not come back with the water during the night till now? We have no other support or help. We are old, in a pitiable state, and greatly tormented by extreme thirst. What is the reason that our devoted son has been negligent towards us? Just at that instant, hearing the sound of my footsteps, the father asked, "Oh son, why are you so late today? Come, bring the clean water for us to drink, and you drink it yourself with us." When he said so, I hesitantly and slowly moved closer to him, fearing for what was to come. Then I bowed my head at his feet and said politely, "I am not your son, but the king of Ayodhya, Dasrath. I am so sinful that I roamed around in the forest hunting animals during the night. Though I was far away from the banks of the river, when I heard the sound coming from the riverside and thinking that it was a deer, I shot an arrow directed at the spot from where the sound emanated. But when I heard someone say, 'I am killed,' in a human voice, I reached the spot most fearfully and full of regrets. Reaching the spot when I saw a hermit's son lying on the ground with his stress spread all around him, I was terrified and caught hold of his feet and said, 'Save me.' Then he reassured me, saying, 'Don't be afraid. You will not have the fear of killing a Brahmin. Go and let my father and mother have water to drink. Go before them and plead for your life.' On the advice of the hermit's son, this hermit slayer has come to you. Both of you are very merciful and compassionate. I have come to seek refuge at your feet. You should save, protect me, and protect me." Hearing this shocking news and overcome with grief and outrage, the old couple fell to the ground and moaned, "Take us immediately to the place where our son is." Then I took those elderly couple, to the place where their son lay on the ground near the river. They touched him with his hands and lamented and wailed miserably, crying, "O son!" They lamented most woefully. "Son, give us water. Why don't you give us water with your hands today?" Then they said to me, "O king, make a funeral pile immediately." I did it soon as ordered. Three of them climbed it, and when the fire was lit, they got reduced to ashes and went to the heaven. At that time, the elderly father had cursed me, saying, "You too will have the same fate. You too would die due to the agonies and sorrows associated with separation from your son." That inviolable curse had presented itself to me today. Saying this, the king started gravely lamenting and mourning. "O son Rama, O Sita, O virtuous Lakshmana, by the agony of your separation, I am dying a death presented to me, thanks to the courtesy of Kaikeyi." Mourning and grieving, thus Dasharatha left his mortal coil and went to the heaven. At that moment, Kausalya, Sumitra, and other queens started beating their chest, mourning, wailing, and weeping. At the crack of dawn, sage Vashishta came there, accompanied by the ministers. They kept Dasharatha's body submerged in a tub filled with oil to prevent decomposition, summoned royal messengers and ordered them, "Ride on swift horses and go forth to the capital of Yudhajit," who was the maternal uncle of Bharata. There Bharata lives with Shatrughna. Go and tell them my command that they should come back to Ayodhya immediately and meet Dasharatha and Kaikeyi. When sage Vashishta had thus instructed them, the messengers rushed to Bharata's maternal uncle's place. So we see how the curse of Shravan Kumar's father is working on him, on Dasharath Maharaj. And we see how Kaikeyi unknowingly was the reason for the execution of, or the manifestation of that curse to happen in Dasharatha's life. So as we see, most of the things that are happening to us is mainly because of our karma, of basically because of our karma. And uh, and the people around us, or the situation around us, are just circumstances for it to manifest for us. So there is no point in cursing them, or there is no point in complaining about them instead of trying to solve the situation here. So we see Lord Ramachandra had to go to the forest because there is something which he had to do in his life, and to execute the plans of the god. So that was very clear to Lord Ramachandra. That was his duty to be performed. So Kaikeyi became a cause for that. Similarly, when you see Dasharath Maharaj's death, again we see that Kaikeyi is again a cause for the execution of, or the manifestation of, that curse for Dasharath Maharaj. So everything happens as planned. So, so there is no point in uh, complaining about Mother Kaikeyi. So even here we see Mother Kaikeyi could have thought about it, and it's also very clear that it's very difficult to come out of our karmas. But it's not that it's not possible; it is possible. So, but then we have to have that presence of mind, and we should not be agitated and carried away by our lower minds, because that's where the karma holds. So if Kaikeyi had given a deeper thought and not listened to mantra, she could have avoided it. But then it's not, and at the same time, we are always swayed by our lower minds, by our karmas. So it is always very important to keep ourselves on a higher level, always connected to the divine, so that we won't be carried away by these things. And we saw how Dashrath Maharaj was also very affected, by this curse. And if he had given some time to understand that, yes, my son will return after 14 years, and I can, yeah, if Dasharatha Maharaj was should must have been very old then. That's what Lord Ramachandra says, because it took a long time for the prince, the four prince to be born to Dasharatha Maharaj and the queens. So yes, he must have been very old. But at the same time, if he was not so very agitated by this separation, maybe he could have lived a little more. But yeah, but there is no guarantee how long he would. But then that is one thing that he he had to die out of or leave his body because of the separation from his, feeling anguished by the separation from his sons. So that was also the part of the curse. But we also see how Lord Ramchandra handles it in a very nice way. Though he is hurt by the separation from his parents, but he is not agitated by it. He sees a higher picture, he sees a higher divine plan for everything, and he continues his life. So this is Lord Ramachandra shows us that the situations happening around us, through people, through circumstances, it's all based on our karma. And without getting swayed by our emotions, without, the lower emotions like jealousy or hatred or anger, without getting swayed by any of these lower emotions, if we stay fixed, and if we understand that higher divine plan, and if we are calm at that situation, we will not create another loop of karmas because of our hatred or jealousy. Then that's what usually happens to most of us. The first place, we are suffering because of our karma. All the situations, circumstances happen to us because of our karma. And instead of responding, we react based on our lower emotions. And we create another loop of karmas. Instead of just tolerating that situation because that has happened to us because of our karma, we get agitated, and we react instead of responding, and we create another new set of karmas. So this is how the vicious cycle of karma works. And instead, at that point, when I say not tolerating, it doesn't mean that you have to tolerate all the sufferings. It means you need to see the higher picture, you need to see the higher plan, and act accordingly. Act according to the higher plan. So you see how Lord Ramachandra responds at that situation. He sees the higher plan that he has to go and kill a demon, a very huge demon there out there. So, and many of the other demons. So he sees that higher plan and he goes there. And it's also an opportunity for him to learn from the great sages in the forest. So he sees all the benefits of that. So even for us in the same situation, if something like this happens to us, we have to see the higher picture or the higher plan. Maybe yes, we'll have to wait for some time, like the 14 years of Ramachandra. We might also have to wait, but during that waiting period, instead of getting agitated and disturbed and getting anchored, or the hatred or anything consuming us, we see the higher picture and the higher plan and go ahead with our life, understanding there is a higher purpose for it, and use our time to build ourselves. So that's what they say, when you have to go, instead of going through the situation, you have to grow through the situation or the difficulties. You don't just go through life. Life will throw different problems or happiness. But instead of just going through that situation, you have to grow through the situations or grow through that difficulties. That is what is really important. When we go, when different problems come in our life, we'll just think, oh, let me just tolerate it and just go through it, so that it gets done. It won't stay forever. It will be over after a while. But instead of going through the situation, we have to grow through it. We have to understand what has this come to teach us, and what is the lesson that I have to learn, and how can I evolve myself through these hardships. And when we see that higher picture and plan, when these difficult times go away, we'll become a very new person with a higher understanding. That's why sometimes we see people who has gone through a lot of sufferings will not want the same sufferings for others to, I mean, will not want others to go through the same sufferings because they know how it feels like. And that is the sign of growing through a situation. Whereas the ones who have just gone through the situation, instead of growing through it, they'll say, anyway, I have suffered, so let them also suffer. So there is a big difference. I mean, this is just one example. There are different examples of how the difference between a person who has gone through uh, situations in life and the other one, those who have just gone through it. So coming back to our Adyatma Ramayana. So then they bowed before Yudhajit, Bharata and his younger brother Shatrughna and said, O king, sage Vashishta has sent an urgent word for you, means for Bharata, that along with his younger brother Shatrughna, he should immediately come back to Ayodhya without thinking twice. Hearing this command of his guru, Bharata was terrified and overcome with fear. He wondered whether some calamities or danger has happened to the king or Sri Rama that they have called him in such a haste, and so he urgently departed from there along with Shatrughna and the messengers. Bharata did not have any premonition of the calamitous events unfolding at Ayodhya. It's a note. Nor did he have the time to perform elaborate rituals such as bathing Shivalingams with milk, etc., praying for welfare in Ayodhya as it has been made out by Tulsidas and Ramacharita in Ayodhya Kand. Okay, since I'm not aware of that, uh, just read it. He was very worried and anxious throughout. Okay. He was very worried and anxious throughout the duration of his journey to Ayodhya. Having arrived in the city, he found it lacking in its usual grandeur and majesty, almost desolate, and lacking its usual festivities. Seeing all these ominous signs, he was very perplexed and worried. Inside the royal palace, he observed there was no usual royal ambience and pomp. Kaikeyi was sitting alone. Seeing his mother, he affectionately and devotedly bowed his head at her feet. Seeing that Bharata has arrived, Mother Kaikeyi lifted him affectionately, embraced him, and made him sit on her lap. She smelled his head and asked him about the welfare of her own clan and family members back home. She asked, Are my father, brother, and the virtuous mother all right? Son, I am very fortunate to see you today. When the mother inquired thus, Bharata retorted with a worried mind and asked her instead, Mother, where is my father that you are sitting here alone? Mother, the father never stayed alone without you, but he is not visible anywhere now. Say, where is he? So we see how Dasharath Maharaj was very attached to Mother Kaikeyi, and that Bharata says, Father never left your side. He will be always there with you. Why are you sitting here alone? I am unable to see my father. I have become very upset and afraid. Then Kaikeyi replied, O the sinless pure one, what is there for you to feel sorry about? O the one who loves his father so much, the end which is destined for a noble and virtuous person who performs the various sacrifices such as a horse sacrifice, etc., has been attained by your father. Okay, she says that he has gone back to heaven. As soon as he heard this, Bharata was overwhelmed with outrage, grief, and sorrows, and he fell to the ground, lamented mournfully, O dear father, leaving me behind in an ocean of sorrows and anguish, where have you gone? Alas, even without handing me over to Lord Rama for custody and care. Where have you gone? Kaikeyi lifted her son, who was lamenting most remorsefully, and lay spread on the ground with disheveled hairs, wiping his tears, and tried to console and comfort him, saying, Son, have courage and forbearance. Bless you with welfare. I have fixed everything for you. Bharata asked, What did the king say at the time of his death? At this, Devi Kaikeyi said fearlessly, without any remorse or regret, he kept on saying, O Rama, O Sita, O Lakshmana, for a long time before making his exit for the heavens. Bharata asked, O mother, then where were Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita? And then were Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita not with him at that time? Where did they go at the time of his death? Kaikeyi said, your father had made preparations for making Sri Rama a prince regent. At that time, I created an obstacle in it in order to give the reign of the kingdom to you. In an earlier time, the king was pleased with me and had promised to give me two boons. Out of these two, by one I have asked the entire kingdom for you, and by the second I have asked for Sri Rama's exile to the forest, observing all the austerities befitting a hermit. That is why your truthful father, the king, has given you the kingdom and has sent Sri Rama to exile in the forest. Sita, who is loyal to her vows as a faithful and loyal wife, also followed him to the forest. Likewise, Lakshmana expressed his brotherly love for following Sri Rama. Since then, all had gone to the forest. The king had wailed, Ram, Ram, in their memory and left his body. Hearing these stern, heartless, and remorseless words of the mother, so Kaikeyi basically thought she was doing the right thing and she was very proud of what she had done. And she thought the Bharata will accept it. So, I mean, see, that's the situation with most of us. We are all so self absorbed that we think whatever we do is right without even giving a thought of how others feel or does the other person want it or not. She never thought whether what Bharata wanted, whether did he want the kingdom, what was great, what was most close to him. What Bharata wanted was to always be with his serve his father and be with his brothers, and especially with Sri Rama. He never wanted the separation. But then people think this is what my son wants, or my daughter wants, or this is what my mother wants, or father wants, or husband wants, or wife wants. So we think what the other wants based on what we want. So that is what exactly Kaikeyi did. She thought this will be the best for her son, but that is not what her son wanted. So, and that's what created all these issues. If she's about to know, now you will see how Bharata is going to respond. And if she had known this, maybe she might not have even asked for these kind of boons from Dasharath Maharaj. Hearing these stern, heartless, and remorseless words of the mother, Bharata was shocked and confounded beyond belief, and he fell down on the ground like a tree struck by a bolt of lightning. Seeing his miserable condition, Kaikeyi reiterated once again, O son, why do you lament? After having got a great kingdom, where is the cause of any sorrows or regrets? She again feels that kingdom is everything. She doesn't understand what her son wants. Hearing the mother speak these words, Bharata burst out, seething with anger. Oh, you sinner! You are not fit to talk. Oh, you cruel and merciless one! You are the murderer of your husband. O you sinful one, having taken birth from your womb, I too am evidently a great sinner. I will either enter the fire or else consume poison, or commit suicide by stabbing myself with a dagger and go to the hell. O the harmer, the one who harms of your husband. O you wicked one, you too shall fall in the Kumbipak, the most miserable hell, for your outrageous, most contemptible and reprehensible deeds. Oh, those are very strong words. And that too from a son to the mother. Strongly scolding and taking to task Kaikeyi in this matter, he went to the palace of Kausalya. As soon as she saw him, she began to weep openly. Then Bharata too fell at her feet and started crying. Embracing him, Sri Rama's mother, Sri Ram's glorious mother, who had become very weak and was in a pitiful condition, filled her eyes with tears and said, O son, all these misfortunes that have happened here after you had gone away, you surely must have heard all about this misdemeanors and misdeeds of your mother from her own mouth. So everyone was very clear that Kaikeyi doesn't is not feeling any remorse for what she has done. And Mother Kausalya was very sure she herself must have told you what had happened. My son, Sri Rama, the most exalted in Raghu's clan, along with his wife Sita and brother Lakshmana, attired himself in clothes made from barks of trees, matted his hair, and went to the forest, leaving me submerged in an ocean of grief and sorrows. She cried, O Rama, O my Raghuvamshamani, the gem of Raghu's clan. You, who is the personification of the supreme cosmic soul called Paramatma himself, have taken birth from my womb. But still, sorrows and miseries have not stopped dodging me. This has led me to think that destiny is more powerful. Now, this is a very strong word. Most of us feel this at times. So, where is God? That's the question people ask. Why is God allowing me to go through all the sufferings? So, and Mother Kausalya is not different. She says, the Lord Himself, the Supreme Paramatma, has taken birth in my womb. But look at me, and I'm going through all the sufferings. Now, who is greater here? The Paramatma who took birth from me in my womb, or is it that destiny which is controlling everything? So yeah, her questions are true. So we see that the destiny, there are two ways to see it. Maybe the great acharyas can explain in a better way. Uh, but one point what we can understand is we have to understand and accept certain things in life. So if some things are destined, if we see we can go through or we can take whatever is happening in our life only if we have that higher vision, or else we'll be easily disturbed by the sadness that comes in our life, or easily agitated, or easily what to say, we'll be very happy or we'll be very excited when good things happen in our life. So in order to maintain our balance, even at difficult or good situations, we always need to see that higher plan, the situations in our life. So here, Ramachandra could see that. Ramachandra could see that higher plan and higher, though it doesn't mean that he was not going through the pain of separation from his parents, but that high understanding that higher plan gave him the strength to go through the situations. So here we see Mother Kaikeyi, how sad she is, and the way she questions is the way most of us question. So where is God? Why is God giving us all these difficulties? So for her, it's even more a serious question, because for us, we are going through difficulties based on our karma. For her, the Supreme Lord is born as her son, still she is going through all these difficulties. So, and we also see these situations in most of the script, I mean, most of the itihasas, like how the Pandavas went through a lot of difficulties. Though Krishna was there with them throughout their life, they had to go through a lot. And Mother Sita, how much she went through, even when Ramachandra was with her. So it's not that in this world difficulties won't happen, but with the Lord on our side, It's sure that we will never sink in the sorrow. So that's what they say. The Lord doesn't guarantee a stormless sea, but he guarantees an unsinkable ship. So by taking shelter of the Lord, we can actually or successfully swim through all these difficulties. And it is sure that we will not sink or die in that sorrows. We'll definitely grow from it. So that is the benefit of taking shelter. And when we do that, and when we actually do that, we'll be very glorified, because it shows that people who have taken shelter of the Lord through their difficult times have actually become so great that they are glorified throughout the scriptures. So it shows that those who have surrendered to the Lord, even through their difficult times, and taking shelter of the Lord, they are always glorious. So Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, Nami Bhakta Pranashyati. My devotees never vanquished. So we see this in many places. And so Krishna or the Lord doesn't say that you will not have any troubles in this world. He says that, but I will be always there with you and help you grow through all the situations. So that is a faith that we all need to have. Because as Krishna says, this place is Dukale Mashashara. This world is filled with dangers and all situations. So you cannot expect not getting shot in a war zone. A war zone is filled with dangers, isn't it? So when you enter a war zone, you should be very clear that there is going to be bullet from all the sides or arrows from all the sides. So you should be cautious about that when you enter the war zone. And so that's the same situation in this material world. This place is filled with such troubles. But what Krishna says is, but those who have taken shelter of me, they will be protected. It's not that they won't go through the difficulty. It is like you enter the war zone, but you are covered with that, but there is that kavacha around you. Yes, you will be hurt. The bullets might go through you or whatever it is, or the they might shoot the arrows at you. And sometimes you might get hurt, but you are not going to die because the strong protection of the Lord is there. So that is what it says. There will be turbulences, there will be storms, there will be everything in your life in this material world. But having taken shelter of the Lord, you will be able to go through it. And that's what is real strength. Real strength is not having a life without any troubles. Real strength is you face the situations, you face the trouble, but with the Lord by your side, you get the strength to tackle those situations and grow from it. So that's what we really want. So there was this movie where someone said, when you ask for courage to the Lord doesn't just give you courage. He gives situations in your life where you can become courageous. Similarly, in all the things. So we have to grow. Our inner self has to grow. So that is why these situations are put in front of us. So when such situations are put in front of us, first thing we should ask is, what is that the Lord is trying to teach me, and what should I learn from here, and how can I grow in this situation? So yes. So Bharata saw her grieving remorsefully, and he caught hold of her feet and said, "O mother, listen to me. Whatever Kaikeyi had done at the time of Sri Rama's anointment, or whatever else she has done or said, if I know about it all, if I had been aware of it, or if it had my tacit support or consent of any kind, then, O mother, let me be cursed by sins equivalent to 100 murders of Brahmins, or the sin which is begot by killing Guru Vashishta and his wife Arundhati by a sword could be cast upon me." Making such an oath, Bharata burst out weeping uncontrollably. So we can see how the situation, how Bharata feels. He has not done anything, but everyone is blaming him. That is his situation. If we have done something wrong and people are cursing us or people are talking bad about us, then at least it's because of what we have done. But here he has not done anything. He didn't know any of these things, but people are still blaming him. It's because of you. So what kind of a situation would Bharata be in? It's really painful. Then Kausalya clasped him to her bosom and reassured him, saying, "O son, I know all this. You should not worry at all. I know all this in the sense she knows that Bharata is not guilty. You should not worry at this. There is no misunderstanding with me. I know that you are not a party to all this evil design of your mother." At about that moment, hearing of Bharata's arrival, sage Vashishta came to the royal palace accompanied by other ministers. Seeing Bharata weeping bitterly, he said to him, so we see how Mother Kausalya is such a wonderful woman that she considers everyone as her own children. It is not that, oh, you are Kaikeyi's son. How much love Mother Kausalya has for Bharata. King Dasharatha was old. Okay, so Sage Vashishta is saying, King Dasharatha was old, wise, truthful, victorious, and true to his vows. He has enjoyed all the comforts and fruits of taking birth as a human being, has propitiated the Lord by donating a lot of wealth and doing the Ashwamedha Yajna and performing other religious rituals. As a consequence, he has obtained Lord Vishnu himself in the form of his son Sri Rama. After having got all these benefits, he has gone in the end to the heaven and has become authorized to sit on one half of the throne of Indra. Okay, that is the position which Dashrath Maharaj got. He is verily not worthy of feeling pity for and is a worthy subject fit for emancipation and salvation. You are unnecessarily mourning for him. See, See, Atma is eternally imperishable, most pure, without any birth or destruction of any kind, while the body is lifeless, most impure and destructible. When you think in these terms, there is no scope of regret, grief, remorse, or lamentation of any kind. So actually, these words does give us great relief to understand that when our dear ones leave us, we feel that they are gone, but they are always there. It's just their body which had taken birth, which grew up, which got old, is what has left. So Krishna gives a wonderful example in Bhagavad Gita saying that this body is just like a dress. If the dress is old, you have to give up the dress. You can't wear old tattered clothes and walk around. Isn't it? You need to get a new one, a new fresh one which you would feel very good in, isn't it? So that's the same situation for all of us. So when we see when you see older people, they always say, it's time, I want to leave this body, I don't want to be here anymore. We hear them saying that because we have to understand one fact of old age is that it is very difficult to be in a body which is not supporting you. When we are young, we don't understand because it's all healthy, you can enjoy everything with this body. But then as you get older, we see that the body brings in a lot of troubles also if it is not taken care of properly at a young age. So so when they say I want to leave this body, it means that it's enough for them. They are ready to leave. So it's also wise to let them go. And so we need a body which does to do the task or do the duty that we are given by the divine. So that's what we when we consider this body as a tool, which is given a very very important tool which should be taken care of. Yes, and because we need to execute our duties, everything using this body. So the body should be worshipped, should pure and healthy like a temple, or clean like understand that we have to leave this body at one point or the other. And it is not this body which is the one which is the permanent thing. It is the soul. The it's different is was it that body which you loved, or was it the person who was there as your father or mother or whomever you are close to inside the body whom you loved? It is, isn't it? So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the soul is eternal, never dies. Your father has gone from this place to another place. He has moved on or moved to a different body, but he is always there. And wherever he is, or wherever he is taking his next birth, he will always remember you and bless you. So what are you worried about? Are you crying that your father got a new healthy body? Or are you crying because you missed him? If we are really concerned about whomever beloved of ours has left us, and and we know that they are in a better position, we should be happy for them. And instead, if we cry, that tears are not is only for our selfishness because we miss them. So what is it that we actually loved? If we actually love a person, we should be happy for the position in which they are right now. So knowing all this eternal truth will actually give us a new way or perception of seeing things. Yes, it doesn't mean that we won't be sad. We will feel that separation from them, but at the same time, we cannot drown in that morose or sad situation for a very long time, affecting our life, our everyday life to a great extent. Okay, so Vasishtha Maharshi is saying, when one thinks in these terms, there is no scope of regrets, grief, remorse, or lamentation of any kind. If a father or a son dies, only the ignorant fools cry or mourn for him by beating their chest. But in this meaningless world, if a wise person has to suffer separation from anyone, it is the cause of renunciation and detachment for him and enhances his peace, tranquility, happiness, and bliss. These are great words. And to understand this, we should be in such a position to appreciate it. But most of us, we only go through suffering in separation. When we get separated from our dear ones, whichever way, we go through sufferings. So here Vashishta Maharshi clearly says, only the ignorant fools cry or mourn for him by beating their chest. Because the wise knows this is the reality of life. So he says, but in this meaningless world, meaningless in the sense, this is how this world is. There is birth, death, old age, disease. This is a fact which we should accept from the time we are born, that this is what is going to happen. And and that is what we call a wise person. If a wise person has to suffer separation from anyone, it is a cause of renunciation and detachment for him. And it is true in our culture, we see we are trained to be detached. Detachment doesn't mean that uh, you, you should not have affection or anything for others. Detachment means you should not be excited by the happiness or very remorseful because of the sufferings. It is to maintain that equilibrium. That is real attachment. Sorry, that is real detachment. It is not that you should not show any love to others or any compassion to others or any of these things. That is not what a detachment means. It means to maintain ourselves in that higher equilibrium state. So, and that is what life teaches us in our culture. From the time we are born, where we are with our parents for a few years. Soon after that, the boys are sent to Gurukul. And that is a great separation between the parent and the child. But the girls, they continue to be with their parents. But at the same time, after a certain age, the girls should get married and they'll be sent to their husband's house. So at that point, it is again a separation for the parents from their daughters. So there is detachment. So that all these things are training them how to be detached. Now the son has stayed away from the parents during his studies, during the Gurukul days. Now he comes back with all the knowledge he has gathered from his guru and how the realities of this life. So he is more in an position to understand the realities of this world. So even when he comes back home to his parents, he understands his duties, what he has to do as a son, and he might take up the grihastha and and he does all these duties with this higher understanding which he has gathered. So which helps him to maintain that that equilibrium state. So all this, and even at that time, even when and then later on, we see that he also has his children at a later stage. His parents leave. So all these things are training us at one point or the other how to become detached, because it is very detached in the sense handle things in a more calm and composed state, understanding the realities of this life, of this world, at the same time not walking away from our duties and showing love and compassion towards others. Most of the time, what happens is we fear the pain of separation, because of which we don't get close with others, or we don't show our affection and love for others, thinking that once I show this affection and love for them, what will happen to me if there is a separation? I will have to go through all the pain. So it's better not to show any love or affection or anything to others. And they call that detachment. That is attachment to detachment. So that is another kind of an attachment. So it is to maintain that tranquility. It is to maintain that level head state. That is what is real detachment. So Vashishta Maharshi clearly explains it beautifully here. But in this meaningless world, if a wise person has to suffer separation from anyone, it is a cause of renunciation and detachment for him, and enhances his peace, tranquility, happiness, and bliss. To understand this, we should be very elevated. That suffering gives us peace, tranquility, happiness, and bliss. That is a different stage, which even I cannot explain. So it's better to hear from the great people who have experienced this. If anyone has taken birth in this world, then surely death is attached to him. Hence, for all those who have taken birth, death is an unavoidable adjunct. Every creature takes birth and dies according to his own deeds. But what an irony! Look, in spite of knowing it, the foolish and ignorant people have so much grief or mourn for their kins, relatives, and friends. That's very true. So that's why they say we have that mourning period. If someone dies in our family, we have that mourning period of 13, 12, 13 days, and maybe it to a maximum of 1 year, but not more than that, because we need to move on with our life. Crores of Brahmandas have been destroyed. Numerous creations have passed away. All these oceans would dry up one day. Then what should one rely upon in this momentary life? This age is like a drop. This age means this life is like a drop of water hanging on the edge of a shaking or quivering leaf. It is momentary, transient, uncertain, and unstable. It betrays and abandons without any warning. What reliance do you put on it? So he's talking about the reality of this world. So yes, we can understand all these things only if we can actually, we should have all this understanding to accept the world in which we are living in. And that is why reading the scriptures gives us great strength. And this is very true. How momentary are life. We see people dying on the road and on accidents. Right. Yesterday he spoke to me on phone, and today morning I'm hearing that he is dead. Imagine what would be the situation. He was all fine. He was healthy, wealthy, wise, everything, and he just spoke to me on phone yesterday night, and he spoke very happily. We had a nice chat. But today morning I'm hearing that he's dead. How, it's something. Life is very unpredictable. So, and that would be something very dear to us. So we have to understand, and there is no. I mean, yes, we will be hurt, we'll be sad, but then we have to accept this fact too, the reality of this world. And that should also not stop us from showing compassion and love towards others. See, that's a great art that we have to learn. Knowing this is what will happen, we still should show all the love, compassion, everything, and do our duties with our full heart, and at the same time accept that the things are temporary. But whatever we have done for the other person will be valuable for them. That is not the point. It's not that whatever you have done with all your heart and love and everything is useless because that person is going to die at one stage. No, the body is going to die. That soul remains, and the love and the compassion and affection, everything that you show to the other person is uplifting his soul. And that is an eternal work that we are doing for the other person. Just by seeing that this body will die at one point, we don't do anything for the soul, that means we are not doing our duty. Whatever duty or whatever compassion, love we show for the other person is to uplift the soul, and it is not for the body, which will definitely die one day. The effort that we put is to uplift the soul. And that should be our goal when we interact with every other person. To see that there is a soul. It's the soul we are communicating to. And the beautifully our culture says when we say namaskar, we are we are what to say? We are showing that namaskar, that act to the soul who is residing inside that body. And it is not for the body. Yes, we do respect the body. Yes, but then we are more concerned about the soul which is there, which is residing in that body. That is why we respect all the living beings, not just humans, but all the living beings, because there is a soul residing inside every body. So this is something great which we have to learn. It's a great knowledge and great science, that to show all our emotions, express everything with our heart, with that higher consciousness to the other person, doing our duties, understanding that we are uplifting that soul, not with the fear that this body will die one day. Hmm. This soul has acquired this body as a result of the deeds done by it in its previous birth, and by virtue of the deeds done by this body, it shall get next birth. In this manner, the soul repeatedly acquires one body after another. Even as a man discards his own clothes and puts on new ones, so does the soul assume a new body by discarding the earlier one. Hence, what is the cause of sorrows and grief in it? Because the Atman never dies, never takes birth or dies, nor increases or decreases at any time. It is devoid of the various faults, blemishes, shortcomings, and misdemeanors, is misdemeanors, is eternal, timeless, is the embodiment of pure consciousness, supreme truth and supreme bliss, is a witness to the mind intellect complex, and is indestructible or imperishable. That supreme soul is one, without a match or a parallel, and is universally present uniformly. In this manner, you should become aware of the true nature of the Atma, become free from grief and remorse, and complete your work or duties assigned to you in this material to you. O Kulanandan, Bharata, take the body of your father out of the boat filled with oil, and accompanied by ministers and we sages, perform his last rites according to established traditions. That is a duty. As a son, he has to do that. Chapter in chapter 7. Guru had consoled him as above. And when you hear these words from a very enlightened soul, it actually gives lot and calm to our heart. It truly does. And that is why when there is a death or something in our home, it's very important to read the scriptures because it gives a lot of uh, strength to us, inner strength. When his guru had consoled him as above, Bharata forsook. Bharata forsook grief and lamentation, incited by ignorance and delusion, and did the last rites of the king. As per advice of his guru, he performed the funeral of his father's body as per edicts and established traditions, sanctified by the scriptures, by offering iter alia obligations to the sacrificial holy fire. So, so it's very important to perform those duties for our parents and ancestors who have left the body. And that is a duty of the son and the daughter too. So when they say putra, it is a person who uplift or saves his father from hell. Called there is a hell called put put or pit or something like that. So it's putra means the one who saves uh here person who saves the one who saves the person from the hell called Put. So there is a hell called Put, and Tra means Tharanam, or what to say, to bring them out. Like mantra means one the that which pulls out the mind, the man from the lower level. So mantras pull the mind from the lower level. So Tra means to those who know Sanskrit, it's like that which pulls it out or helps to cross over. So Putra is a person who saves his father or mother from a hell called Put. So definitely people would have done a lot of misdeeds during their life for which they will suffer after death by going to different hellish conditions. So when the son performs all the sacrifices, all the duties, he is actually saving them from that hellish condition and giving them a state and putting the and giving all those punya to them by doing performing all those rituals where we see you do different kinds of dhan when you do those rituals and if we do it sincerely all this dhan it actually benefits and because we say the agni in which you are putting all these things into it actually is a medium to send all those offerings to them in the other world so it is actually helping them a lot. And that's why we you do the Shraddha ceremony every year. Because 1 year for us is 1 day for them. So we are actually basically feeding them every day. And if you don't do that, they will be in a hunger state because they say that the world, the Pitra Loka, is a place where you have all the facilities, but you won't get food or water to drink. Imagine a situation where you have everything, but you don't have food and water. So So it is a duty. So when we perform rituals here, we are actually giving them their daily food and water, and they are very happy of what for what you have done, and they will bless you. So it's not just a ritual. If we understand the eternity of the soul and how the soul travels from one body to another, and those periods where they have to stay back before the period, the where transition period where you have to stay in that pitraloka until you get the next body. So during that time is the time they are in pitraloka, and that's when we have to keep doing the shraddha. And we don't know how long they will be there, because we don't know what's happening there. So we do the shraddha every year, which will benefit them as well as we do it for the three generations before. And like there is some ritual after that, you club the generations together, something like that. So we are actually feeding them, and we are supposed to do that because they have given us this life, and it is we are showing our gratitude, and we are also helping them come out of any of the sins which they might be suffering for. So that is a duty of a putra. And though the girls are not advised to do all these rituals, but their prayers and whatever they can do, like the offerings they can do, the prayers that they can do, and the charity which they do, it is all going to benefit their parents too. So there is nothing to worry that, oh, I don't have a son, I have only daughters. The daughters are also called putri. So they will also save their parents from these hellish conditions, provided they understand these truths. Both the son and the daughters should understand these higher truths. When his guru had okay, fine, that's done. On the 11th day, he fed hundreds and thousands of Brahmins who were experts in the Vedas, while he donated a lot of wealth, thousands of cows, many villages, garments, and gems to them for the benefit of his father. So everyone might not be a king like Bharata, but we all can do whatever we can in our own ways. After that, he constantly remembered Sri Ram. He began to spend his time in his residence along with sage Vashishta, Brata, Shatrughna, and ministers. While staying in the house, thus he used to brood and remain gloomy because Sri Rama had gone to a terrible forest along with the great daughter of Janaka and Lakshmana. My mother Kaikeyi sparks heart burn in my heart by her mere sight as if she was a demoness. Hence, without doubt, I shall go to the forest soon, and with a sweet smile on my face, I shall serve Sri Rama, whose face is most beautiful. He has no anger, malice, wrath, vengeance in his heart, and so his face reflects calmness, peace, tranquility, contentness, evenness, benevolence. So you see, your face shows what your heart has. And Bharata says that my brother doesn't have all this anger or malice or vengeance or anything in his heart. So that's why some people say, I know what kind of a person he is just by looking at his face. So the face shows what the heart has. So Bharata says so, whose face is most beautiful, and along with Sita there. So Bharata wants to go to the forest. So with this, we come to the end of the seventh chapter of Ayodhya Kant. It was a long one, so I hope you enjoyed the reading. So we'll continue with the chapter in the next session. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.